Previously on the FPL Banger show. I'm still captaining Victor Gyokeres this week. I don't care, man. Like, I bought this guy in for this picture. I'm going with it. I'm not scared. Like,
Very interesting, Siva. I don't feel like you will do it. And perhaps this is egging you on, but I don't think you have the balls to do it, Siva. Not in a bad way. You're just kind of a safe FPL manager, but maybe this is the change this year.
Oh, this is thing.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the FPL Banger show. My name is Siva. I'm joined by Sam. In fact, I should say, you are now listening to the two top-ranked FPL content creators in the whole world, Sam.
Yeah. I was up there lonely last week, and now I have Siva not only joining me for company, but surpassed me. But actually, we have the exact same number of points. How did they rank this thing, Siva? Why are you one and why not me? Is it because your FPL ID is higher than mine?
Oh, I would love it was that the case. I'm pretty sure it's because I've not used any chips, Sam, unlike you. I didn't need to resort to any questionable Gaming 1 bench boosts. I've done this with no transfer, Sam. I'm just that good.
Yep, fair play, Siva. I think I'm just happy to have this podium 1-2 with you. So
I'm pretty sure they regret adding us to this because, you know, I've been saying for years we should be listed in this content creators league. They've not added us. And the first time they do.
Is this the first year? Yeah, we're in.
This is our first year in this league by virtue of some number of followers or something that I'm not really privy to. But bottom line is we've come in. We're taking over.
Right. A dream debut.
Speaking of dream debuts, well, home debuts, Sam, I just want to remind you, Sam, because 7 days ago, I told you I was going to captain Victor Gyokeres. And he said, nah, you don't have the balls. You won't do it. You're not brave enough. Siva's too boring. You just play template. You're safe. I did it, man, okay? I did it. And I was the only one who hauled this week. Your Haaland's blanked. Everybody else blanked. Palmer didn't show up. Mo Salah needed an extra 10 minutes, 90 plus 10 against 10 men to
and
just
get an assist.
And a teenager. But I didn't need any of that, Sam.
Fair play to you, Siva. I will say, though, that it was all part of my plan I want you to succeed. So I purposely said those things, to egg you on. Because I know if I left it and left you to your own devices, the chances would probably be higher that you wouldn't do it. So I knew you just need a little motivation, a little bit of reverse psychology. I'm just glad. I'm glad for both of us. At least we're having a good start to the season.
Oh, only downhill from here. Let's talk about, enough about us, right? Enough about our seasons. Let's talk about the big news, right? So Cole Palmer, he might be out. We don't know. We are recording this on Wednesday. The assumption is that he's probably not going to start this weekend against Fulham, and probably he's back after the international break. And given that we're recording on Wednesday and there's no news, I'm pretty sure Maresca is going to say something like, we'll see, right, on Friday in the press conferences. So with that all in mind, Sam, 2 questions for you. One, does this make Joao Pedro essential? And who is the Cole Palmer replacement?
Okay. Let's start with Pedro first. What do you think?
It was a very interesting game on Friday night. I obviously did not expect Pedro to play the number 10, but it kind of made sense once you have Liam Delap up top. Because Pedro and Delap were going to start anyway. Esteval Willian is the one who came in. Pedro's goal came from a corner. So how often is that going to happen? West Ham had a very bad night with set pieces. The new keeper, Mads Manson, looks like really, really bad at it. So I don't know how this gets replicated. And the fact that Pedro was playing number 10 meant he dropped deep a lot. Like, you can't see this on the screen. This is all his attacking stats, but he actually had 5 DEFCONs. Like, he came pretty deep to recover balls and stuff. So I'm a bit concerned as to whether this is a long-term solution for Joao Pedro. Like, is he viable over the long period of time? I'm not sure. But I think for this week, Fulham at home, perfectly fine option. And given that, unless you've already used your wildcard and you have no other way to get out of it, I think it's an okay transfer.
If you could only make one forward transfer, though, Siva? Since most of us are limited, right? Would you go Pedro or would you go Chris Wood? Because they are about the same price. And Chris Wood is about to play the team that Pedro hauled against. So is it so much the player or is it who was he playing against, right? Is it the fixture you want to target?
That's a very good question. I think I would target the fixture. I think West Ham is just that bad. And I don't think West Ham will stay this bad for that long. Like, I imagine Potter gets sacked within 2 to 3 weeks. And you kind of want to get that fixture in while you can. I watched a bit of West Ham last night in the AFL Cup. They played mostly full strength team. They changed the keeper, but barring that, it was mostly the best team. They took the lead 2-1 and then lost 3-2. And at the end, Jared Bowen's being held back. He's arguing with fans. He's trying to get into he's trying to climb the advertising boards to go and shout at the fans. It's all just falling apart. And so now's the perfect time to play West Ham away at Forest. I mean, to me, no brainer. I would go Chris Wood.
Yeah. So I think for me, Pedro, now, will he be a good long-term asset? I think possibly. His place looks nailed, right? Like I was worried about his rotation with Liam Delap up top, but it seems now if he wants Liam Delap to come in, Pedro just moves further back to the 10. He did play well dual 10, I think, right? So it's a kind of new-ish formation. But yeah, so over a long term, I think over a season, Pedro will probably tick in with goals here and there. Will end up being a good asset for his price. But if you're talking about 1 week, and I mean not only this week, but Forest actually has a pretty decent run of fixtures. I mean they have Arsenal next week, game week 4, but then after that it's Burnley and Sunderland back to back. So
yeah,
I would go for Chris Wood. Yeah, I'm annoyed because I actually already have 3 Forest players, so I cannot move for Chris Wood, which is really annoying.
Oh, that makes it very interesting to me, Sam. Oh, that's very, very interesting to hear. Yeah, in that case, yeah, Chris Wood for me, easy. A little annoying that he's now coming off on 80 minutes. They do have options. You go Jesus, they've signed a bunch of other attackers, but
That's true.
West Ham's still too easy.
Yeah. And I know he blanked last week, but he had two shots on target, Chris Wood. So, on another day, there would have been 2 goals, right?
Based on his recent track record. Okay, so that's the forwards, right? But let's talk about Cole Palmer, because what do you do? Now, let's assume that we don't have any more information that we already have. Let's assume Mariska says, we'll see. What do you do? Do you hold and wait until the international break is over? Because we should probably come back to fixtures. And Chelsea have still really decent fixtures. Brentford, Man United, Brighton, Liverpool, and Forest up to game week 8. So are you selling Cole Palmer on the basis that he's probably missing just 1 game? Or do you just hold and wait for the international break?
I would sell. I'm probably selling. Mostly because I think the injury is just what pushed me over the edge, I would say. Right? Because we've been really unsatisfied with his form, his returns for his price at least. There's a very famous stat saying he hasn't scored a goal since, what was it, February? March?
January, he hasn't scored a goal since only in January. Although, we're speaking about form, about a guy who's played 1 game this season.
Yeah. And then there's also the new news that came out that he was playing with an injury and things like that, right? So maybe this recent injury gives him that chance to finally rest, international break. He comes back fresh, fully recovered, back to his best, possibly. But I just feel there are other assets who have an even better run of fixture and has the form to boot. So I mean, Brentford's kind of an unknown quantity, right? They got smashed the first week. They did really well in game week 2. I still don't know what to think of them, right? Then United away. Again, United. We'll come to United later, right? And then Brighton again. So Brighton again is one of those teams who I feel is really unpredictable, right? Like the fixtures, you kind of expect them to do well, they do badly, and then they do badly in the fixtures. It's really unpredictable. So I feel there are other players from other teams who have better form, who are cheaper as well. You can always go back, especially if you still have your wildcard. So you can take him out, and then in game week 4, 5, 6, whenever you plan to use a wildcard, you can easily rearrange and bring him back in if he comes to form.
Okay, so let's talk about Cole Palmer replacements, right? Because I'm just, from what I see, right, a lot of people have decided that it should be somebody from a different team. And they seem, we'll come to the popular option. One surprise is nobody seems to be interested in Chelsea midfielders. Like Cole Palmer's gone. Nobody wants Pedro Neto. Nobody wants Esteban Willian. Nobody wants Enzo Fernandez. I've still got Enzo Fernandez's stats for this game on the screen. Slightly inflated because his goal was a tap-in, so that's why the XG is quite high. But still, Enzo Fernandez is usually starts for Chelsea. He's on some set pieces. He took 2 corners in this game. So he's got assist potential. He's got goal potential. Why aren't people like Enzo Fernandez and maybe even Pedro Neto, who also scored, Esteban Willian got an assist. Why aren't any Chelsea midfielders being considered?
I think it's the fact that Palmer is not there, right? So a lot of people feel that Palmer is instrumental to their attack. Now, of course, they did really well, but again, is it just the team that they were playing against, right? Like they could have put out a B team and probably
Cole Palmer's
smashed
the
them
problem.
anyway. Maybe, we never know, right? So I think there's just a lot of uncertainty, and I mean, I think there's a lot of bias from previous seasons as well. Like even Neto has not been the most consistent asset to have, so I think a lot of people have a lot of biasness against the other Chelsea midfielders.
Okay. I mean, I didn't even mention Moises Caicedo, who also scored and also hit DEFCONs again. Like, looks to be like he will be a DEFCON machine this season. And he's only 5.5. And especially if you are replacing Cole Palmer to presumably get another forward, switch to 3-4-3. I mean, a lot of options. If you're not going Chelsea mids, though, and this seems to be the move that's on the timeline, Sam, and I don't know if this will surprise you or not. Matheus Cunha is the Cole Palmer replacement that I see a lot when I woke up today on Twitter. I am slightly confused by this.
I mean, he looks good eye test wise, right? Like if you don't see the score and all someone showed you was just highlights of the game, you would see Cunha doing a lot. So I can see, and plus it's the fixture, right? They're playing against Burnley, who seems like the worst of all the promoted teams. But at the same time, I have to say though, this year, been really impressed with all the promoted teams, right? They've all kept a clean sheet, I think, at home so far, which is great.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, and they all look much more competitive than the ones we got last season. And so with that in mind, right, and the fact that United's next fixtures are, okay, they play Burnley, and then after that they play Man City, Chelsea, Brentford, and Liverpool between now and Game Week 8. I'm struggling to understand Matheus Cunha being this. Like, I get the next fixture is amazing, but I am kind of confused. Like, is this really a no-brainer? Because it seems to be a lot of top so-called, people who do well in FPL are buying him.
Yeah, I think it's just a 1 week fixture play, and then after that they're like, oh no, we'll just see how it goes, right? Like hopefully a counter-attacking goal here and there. Like against Arsenal he could have scored. Honestly, even last week he could have got a goal or two, right? With some better
hits
luck,
the post
maybe.
pretty early on, I think 2 minutes in. Yeah.
So I think that's what they're hoping for, right? Like they see the positives in United. I am torn personally as a United fan, right? Like I know logically you want to target the next fixture, but on the other side, it is United who can't seem to get a win.
Yeah. So again, I mean, I'm pushing you on this because you're a United fan, right? And you've got one goal from open. Well, not even a goal from open play so far, right? Because it was an own goal.
And I think we've only scored 1 goal in our past 5 competitive games, by the way. That's a stat for you.
Yeah. So these guys, Cunha and Brian and Bobo, both came as the highest XG performers from last season, overperformers. So people who scored beyond their XG. So already some question marks, are they going to fall off? Is it sustainable? I ask all this only because it's a great fixture and a lot of people seem to have decided they don't want Bruno Fernandes anymore. And I found it really interesting because I actually thought Bruno Fernandes did pretty well against Fulham. Now he's really, really deep. This is a problem. Like he is the defensive midfielder. Casemiro comes off at, I think it's about 50 minutes, and Mount plays with Bruno. So Bruno is the DM, uh, which is ridiculous. He's 9 million. He's just doing DEFCONs. He does them well. Like he hit the DEFCON threshold again in this game. He is on some corners on the left, but Bumo has taken over the corners from the right. In open play, he's got zero threat.
Yeah.
I'm really torn on Bruno because if he scores that penalty, this isn't really a conversation, but he did miss it. And so it is a conversation. Does he lose pens? And even if he's keeping on to pens, is 9 million, forget 9 million. Is he a good FPL asset? Like full stop.
Well, I'm. This is exactly why I did not get Bruno. In our preseason podcast, right, when we're discussing the assets, these are exactly the reasons why I said I feel Bruno's overpriced, right? At 9 mil, playing too deep, yada yada yada. My answer would be no. I would, of course, it's really hard to justify selling with Burnley upfront, right? But if you're shuffling your team around, let's say you're using a wild card, I would get rid of Bruno. And if you're hell bent on having a United player, then I would have either Cunha or, honestly, I prefer Mbeumo over Cunha if I were to choose a midfielder. Because Mbeumo's taking corners as well, so, and some set pieces, so there's a bit more routes to points, and he's still, yes, maybe not getting as many shots as Cunha, but he's still there. He's still very involved in the attacking play.
Okay, interesting. I think patience is needed. Like even for Bruno owners, I wouldn't be so rash. Although, as I say, eye test looks very concerning. I think you just hold. This is the fixture you had for. Even if you're moving things around, I definitely wouldn't be selling Bruno this week. I think that's not crazy, but it's counterproductive. Like I wouldn't have sold Gyokeres before Leeds, right? Like you don't sell before. These are the money fixtures you hold people for. So I think you give them this fixture and then you reassess over the break.
But what if you're wildcarding, Siva? Then you can move Bruno to say Cunha, right?
Frankly, I'd say don't wildcard this week, to be honest with you.
I mean, if someone,
Yeah. No, because I honestly think that's the problem with the fixture swing this week, right? Like you don't wildcarding this week almost requires you to get United players, whilst there are a lot of question marks about them. Because you walk out this week, you want to target some fixtures this week. And the best fixture this week is United against Burnley and probably Forest against West Ham. And then next week, United play, after the break, they play Man City and Forest play Arsenal. So wildcarding this week already has those issues. But if you are dead set on wildcarding this week, yeah, you keep a United midfielder. In that sense, I can see where you're coming from. Fair enough. Then you keep Cunha and you let Bruno go. I can sort of get on that.
Yeah. If you're not wildcarding though, there's really no point wasting a transfer to get Bruno out this week.
Okay, so with that in mind, Sam, then who is your core PALMER replacement? Because you didn't seem interested in the Chelsea mids and you don't seem interested in the Man United mids. So I'm quite confused. Who is coming in?
I have a few on my shortlist, right? I think number one is probably the player on everyone's shortlist in midfielders, who was on your shortlist last week, Siwa, but you didn't move for him in the end, which is Semenyo.
Oh yeah, Antoine Semenyo. Looked very good. Got an assist.
Yeah. He looks good, just like he did in Game Week 1. Granted, this week they're playing, the best team in the league apparently, which is Spurs, right? But Bournemouth looks like they can score against anyone. They might not win, but they can score against anyone, right? And then
it's what we said last week, right? He's a sensible, kind of boring, but very sensible transfer. Like he'll always just tick over and he'll get you the occasional haul like he did in Game Week 1. This game didn't score against Wolves. Maybe it didn't favor him in terms of, transitions, counters and stuff, but he returned. And yeah, these are all scoreable fixtures. Like I don't think Spurs, have, despite owning Pedro Porro, I think Spurs were very fortunate to have a clean sheet in Game Week 2 against City. And then Brighton looked poor defensively, like so many issues. I thought they were really bad against Everton. Newcastle, got a lot of injuries. Leeds, yeah, Leeds can't defend. So yeah, these are solid, reasonable fixtures to have some anyway.
The only thing that goes against him to me is the fact that he's probably the most transferred in player this week, and they never do well.
A very relevant stat, yeah. I mean, look at
it,
Tijani Reinders.
it's I mean, it's not superstition, right? But what is it, Siva? There's some sort of curse, and it's not a one-off thing. It has been going on in FPL for as long as I can remember. The most
No,
transferred
mate.
in player never does well the next week.
You're just remembering the times that it goes badly. It has no relevance. Okay, we said if you wind the tape back, we both said Reinders, Haaland, like City had a tough game last week, and we would probably not be bringing them in if we didn't already own them. Like we said that word for word,
Yeah.
and so that kind of worked out, right? It was a tough game. I didn't expect them to lose, but it was going to be tough. So whereas and this week, Semenyo against Spurs, not an easy game. Like, would you be upset if he blanks? You'd be annoyed. But Brighton, Newcastle, Leeds, Fulham, Palace, these are all okay fixtures to hold. So I think you never look at it in isolation. And I wouldn't care if the guy brought in this particular week blanked as long as they've got a decent run going ahead.
True. Other than that, I'm quite interested in Johnson as well, Brandon Johnson, who again I really liked him before the season started. Then he didn't play. The Community Shield took him out. Now he's returned in two games in a row. I think he looks good, and I think it's a nice asset to have. I don't
I'm very
mind
confused.
upgrading because if I sell Palmer, I can for a hit maybe move Matasa up, but that's my own team structure. I think it's a decent play to have, and they have good fixtures.
I'm very confused about Spurs because they have played very well. They have very good fixtures, as you can see on the screen. Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, Wolves, Leeds, Villa, all the way up to Game Week 8. But I genuinely do not know who to pick from Spurs, apart from maybe Vicario, who has gotten bonus points in both the first two games, and then maybe Christian Romero, who got DEFCONs this week, Poro, possibly. Beyond that, I cannot tell you with any certainty that I would pick any of their players. Like I've got Richarlison stats on the screen for this week, right? Got an assist, expected assist 0.11, but he still managed an assist. He scored, obviously, the brace in game week 1. So his price risen, but he's not playing 90 minutes. He comes off on 70, 79. Dominic Solanke then comes on. So I don't know about Richarlison. Kudus, I'm still not sure like how productive he'll be as an FPL asset. Of course, got the assist in the game week 1. And Brennan Johnson, like Spurs are actively trying to sign like a winger. That is known. They tried to sign Eze, they couldn't get Eze. They are prepared to give a lot of money to Man City for Semenyo. I don't know why, but they want to. So, with all that in mind, I mean, I feel like again, Brendan Johnson is someone I would only come back to after the window is closed. I wouldn't buy him now.
Yeah, I agree. That's the thing, though, right? You could though buy him now, enjoy one or two good fixtures, and then wildcard after the window if the situation changes as well. Could it be a case of us thinking too far ahead that we ignore the points right in front of us?
Interesting way of looking at it. Fair enough. Although again, I don't feel like Bournemouth is the entry fixture that I want. In the same way that I think Semenyo against Spurs is not really the first fixture I want on my when I'm bringing somebody in. I don't really want somebody against Bournemouth. Like I probably would want him against in Game Week 4.
Yeah, I see your point though. Like this week itself is for some reason not a very good week for midfielders, right? Like Semenyo is one of the top transfers, bad fixture in. Spurs, bad fixture in. If you don't have Cody Gakpo, you probably have had your head turned. But again, they're playing Arsenal this week. Probably not the best entry. So I get your point, Siva. It's a bit hard to find a nice midfield pick this week other than United, but then you have to bear with the bad fixture next week.
Yeah. Issues all around. And Cody Gakpo, let's talk about Florian Wirtz and Cody Gakpo for a bit, right? Because I own Wirtz, and unfortunately I'm now 0.1 million poorer. Spent 1 million extra thinking, oh, okay, I'll go safe. I'll get the guy who's just been bought. He's not losing his place. And of course, he drops and Gakpo hauls. Gakpo's haul this week. I'm sorry, I'm not sounding bitter, but I mean, his first assist is just like he passes Gravenberch, then scores from 30 yards out. Like that's not going to happen on a regular basis. His second one is also just a layoff to Ekitike, a little closer in the box, but still, none of these feel like repeatable events. It just feels very random, and so I'm not like if I have Florian Wirtz, I see a lot of people selling, and I think okay, fine, you don't want him in game week 3 or maybe a wild carding, fair enough. But game week 4 against Burnley, do you not want Florian Wirtz? I do.
I think people are just losing faith in him, right? Like a lot of them have doubled up. Probably a lot of people doubled up Salah and Wirtz, and now they're thinking, maybe just Salah is enough, even against Burnley. And I'm gonna move on to other shinier things. And I get it because the expectation for Wirtz was really, really high, right? Like he came in, how many? 140 mil, right? Like record signing and everything, so much hype around him, and zero returns in the first 2 weeks. And not only zero returns, but he doesn't look like, based on how it's going, he doesn't look like returns will be coming anytime soon, right? So I can get it. I understand why. Would you move Wirtz to Gakpo though? Or is it just feels like a sideway move if you move to someone in the same team?
Only on a chip. Like it's definitely not a move I'm making a transfer for. That's ridiculous. On a chip, fair enough. You want to use wildcard, free hit, whatever it is. Yeah, that's fine. You want to make that move. Makes sense. No way on a chip. No way on a transfer. Nah, come on.
Okay. I'm just happy that I don't have to think about it. Like there are a few decisions I make at the start of the season which turned out really, really good, right? And skipping Salah for Gakpo and Ekitike is probably like one of the best decisions that I made with my Game Week 1 team.
I mean, we should speak about Ekitike because we've got his stats on the screen. Another very good performance. Both of us have him, obviously. Max bonus. Very happy with that. 80 minutes, got the goal. My only concern is this. Like, do you bring in Ekitike this week? Like, he got a price rise today. We have him, so we don't need to worry about this, but most people don't have him. And I'm, again, surprised that people are bringing him in now because the reason why we both have Ekitike, and we discussed this on some of the preseason pods, was the Isaac move won't happen until game week 4 at least. So you can run with Ekitike for now. But would I be making that transfer this week against Arsenal? In fact, we've got both Gyokeres and Ekitike stats on the screen this week, and a lot of people want them. I have both of them. I would not be transferring either of them in this week.
Yeah, fair. It's probably one of the worst fixtures for both sides, right? Like Liverpool against Arsenal. Arsenal is not a team that concede a lot, right? They may still win, but Arsenal, they don't lose. They don't concede like 3 goals in a game. Like when's the last time that has happened since Arteta took over?
But the narrative that I'm getting from everybody is that, oh, it doesn't matter because Liverpool is so leaky. They've conceded 6 goals. Was it 6 goals? 4 goals in the first 2. So therefore, this is a great fixture for Gyokeres. And I really struggle to see it that way because even if Liverpool are leaky, I mean, it's Arteta. He's going to set up with 7 defenders and we'll happily take like a 1-0 or if it's 3-0, it'll be 3 corner goals. Like that's what's going to be. Like we're not going to go out and all out attack just because Liverpool look a bit more leaky this season. So I cannot see I think Liverpool's poor defensive record in the first 2 games, a lot of it, yes, they look shaky, but it's also circumstantial. First game, they didn't have Gravenberch, and they were Friday night, Bournemouth. Second game, Newcastle, the El Isakio, whatever you want to call it, right? There's a lot of emotions, and just that was a very weird game, right? Anthony Gordon sprinting halfway across the pitch to try and assault Van Dijk. I mean, a lot of weird things happened in that game.
Yeah.
And I just feel, knowing what we know about Liverpool v Arsenal, this has all the makings of a 1-1 or a 0-0. And bottom line is you don't know. And so I wouldn't be bringing in either of these guys this week.
Fair. I think it's a fair point. And yeah, it's just not a good week to jump on, especially like I would rather bring Chris Wood in 100%, or even Joao Pedro.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. Would you bring in Erling Haaland though? So you, Erling Haaland owner, week 1 you were very happy, but week 2, I mean, very expensive waste of space, I would say. And this is going to be the issue with Haaland, right? He needs to haul every week for you to feel happy.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say that I saw it coming with the Gandhi fixture, right? And I texted you, Siva. I texted you and told you I'm not gonna captain him, and you were saying, "Oh, this whole early kickoff thing is not logical. We should root our FPL in science and something to that effect." Should have trusted my gut. Anyway, that's the same with any expensive player, right? You expect the same of Salah as well. If they don't haul often, then is it worth having them? Now he did have high XG, so it looks good, right? So you can expect him to haul on another day. I mean, I'll still keep fixtures looks good, right? It's Brighton, United, who City always tend to do well, and Haaland in particular tends to do really well against United. Then Arsenal's a tough one, but after that, Burnley, Brentford, Everton. So I think, if you have two transfers, or even for hit, it may be depending on who you're taking out. Like if you take out Palmer from your team for a more budget midfielder, you have a lot of money, you want to upgrade to Haaland. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't hate that. I know it's not very popular this week. Like I don't see anybody doing that because everybody wants Cunha. But long term, this is a really nice fixture play. You get Haaland in. This is a very good set of fixtures. You can get someone cheap, unsexy. Go Elliot Anderson. Again, 11 DEFCONs this week. Like he's so close. He just needs one more and then
Yeah.
he's off. Yeah, I think there are other options.
Right. And if you're upgrading, say, Watkins, right? Who, to me, it's a sell. Like Villa as a whole look bad. And he's not cheap. He's the third most expensive forward in the game, right?
Very confusing, right? Villa? Like I'm not
Yeah,
really sure what to make of it because they didn't lose any of their players, but it just seems to have fallen apart.
exactly. So I would do it. I would sell Palmer for a cheaper midfielder, and then upgrade Watkins to Haaland.
Okay, fair enough. I'm down with that. I think Haaland's still a very good pick, and I thought Brighton's defense just looked really questionable against Everton. Still some issues there that need to be resolved. And we spoke about a couple of teams that the issue with a lot of teams that have good fixtures this week don't necessarily have good ones next week, Sam. So I'm surprised that you have not thought about this, like just using this chip in FPL that allows you to hold people for 1 week and then let them go the next week. Because that's what I'm doing. I've got my free hit active. I'm very happy to spoil that because I looked at this week pretty early on. And when I thought about it, like, do I really want to own Man United players for more than 1 week? Probably not. Don't even know if I want to own them this week, but it's BURH, so I can't say no to that. Joao Pedro, fair enough. Haaland, yeah. Chris Wood, yeah. Chris Wood plays Arsenal the following week, so this is a perfect hop on, hop off. Milenkovic, I mean, West Ham can't defend from corners. He's tall, so that should work. Dan Burn, Leeds can't defend from corners. Dan Burn is tall. This is a recurring theme. Why isn't free hit the most obvious thing this week?
I have to say, Siva, I'm very intrigued by it now that you mentioned. And based on our discussions, I think probably the reason, which is the same reason why people are very hesitant to bench boost in Game Week 1 and things like that, is because it's very hard to break from the conditioning the past years of playing FPL have taught us, which is like, save your chips for blanks, save your chips for doubles and things like that. But the fact is that this year, number one, we have 2 chips, right? So we can afford to risk it a bit. Number 2, apparently, now I'm not the expert in this subject, but apparently we're going to have less doubles this year, less blanks. So I'm kind of for it, Siva. I may join you. But the problem is, if I join you, the team is going to be so similar.
I will
And
say
I'm
that
going to
the
have like
only
this massive urge to purposely pick like the other player. Like if you're going Milenkovic, I'm going to go Murillo.
I mean, the only real question that you will have when picking your free hit team this week is whether you go Dorgu or Bomo. That's basically it, and everything else is sort of made up for you. I've looked at this draft like for the last 2 days, and there's really not much you can do with it.
I can throw in a few things for you, right? Like Osula, maybe. might
I mean,
start.
I'm brave, right? But okay, so let's talk about Osula for a sec, right? Because Newcastle. So we're recording this on Wednesday, and Newcastle seem determined to make Strand Larsen the most expensive Norwegian striker in the world, which blows my mind. Okay, like he's going to be more expensive than Haaland. Uh, but as of today, that offer has not gone through. So I don't see a world in which Strand Larsen, even if he signs for Newcastle, will start against Leeds. Like I think that's a bit too extreme. I'm happy to be proven wrong because Newcastle have lost Tonali, Joe Linton, Gordon, and Shah from the Liverpool game. Injuries, suspensions. So maybe Eddie Howe is desperate. So to your Osula pick, it's interesting, but Howe has never trusted Osula. Like he never starts him with good reason because he's really raw and not very proven. He's always a sub at best. Again, free hit. I'm risky, but I want the guys who will actually start for sure.
I'll go Ilanga over Dango.
Ilanga over Tara. I mean, I won't lie, Ilanga has been in a couple of drafts. I just don't know about Ilanga. Like, I don't know if all of Newcastle's injuries affect Ilanga too. Whereas, although I will say that Leeds defensively, there are issues, and they've lost Tanaka, who's their central defensive midfielder. Last week they had lost Ethan Ampadu. This week they lost Tanaka. So could be an issue for them. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think if I was on free hits, I would go for a few picks that are maybe a little bit more risky as well. Like
I got Dango or Tara. How much more risky do you want to get?
I would probably take a punt on Richarlison, who is bound to lose his place eventually, but you can perhaps get one more good game week out of him, maybe.
I think
but
the starting
overall,
three forwards I
think,
have
yeah,
are all better than Richarlison. And sorry, to your point, Sam, I think this is the issue, right? We're picking at the margins here. There are no real big questions to ask.
So overall, I think free hit is a great idea. I have no criticisms on it, Siva. It looks good. And like we've discussed, a lot of these players do not have good fixtures moving forward. United especially. Although I will say, going all in on United is a recipe for disappointment. Take it from a United fan, right?
I will say this, right? The only negative comments I've had on this free hit chip are from United fans, exclusively, to a man, and he's really annoying. All United fans, oh, I've been supporting them for 20 years. You take it from me. We are bad. Don't double up on us against Burnley. I'm not spending a chip on United. And let me just say, look, United fans, worst people to ask about Man United because you guys have no middle. After game week 1, the best loss ever. We are going for Europe this season. We have dominated Arsenal in this 1-0 defeat. 1-1 draw against Fulham. He's got to go now. He's ruining the club. He's selling Mainu. He has to go now. You guys got way too many extremes.
I mean, I will say logically you should have United players. But my heart tells me protect yourself. You've been disappointed so many times. Don't compound your disappointment by being a United fan by also having triple United in your FPL team.
Yeah, so I don't have any of this. I'm a very rational person, Sam. You, as you well know, right? I captain Victor Gyokeres not as a fan, but just because championship striker against a championship team, he will cook. He did. And now I'm picking, team that just beat relegation last season against team that probably should get relegated this season. Kind of works for me. Every time I've gone for United players against these kind of teams, I had Amad Diallo when he scored a hat-trick against Southampton. Like, these are the kind of games where United come to fore because for all Ruben Amorim's flaws, this team has not yet been relegated. So they got to win some of these games.
Not yet.
It's now or never.
Yet been relegated.
So I think
yeah. Overall, Siva,
me makes sense.
Yeah, I think the free hit makes sense, right? We could nitpick on the players, like, oh, you should have this player instead of this player, blah, blah, blah. But the concept as a whole, the strategy makes sense. And I'm for it, Siva. It's just that now that you are fitting, I feel like I cannot free hit. Well, that's my only issue right now.
I wish you the best of luck with your wildcard, Sam. I did look at a wildcard, but it just feels too problematic to pick. And I should just say this, right? Neither of us have had bad starts. We are both in the top 400k. So we're doing okay. And there are a lot of managers who are ranked like 7 mil, 6 mil, and all that. Good guys. It is not a case of chasing rank. It is just a case of the fixtures work for me. I have a lot of Arsenal and Liverpool players. I don't have any United. I have only one Forest. So for me, this works. It probably does not work for your team. or somebody else's team. So it is not like I'm pushing anybody. You got to use a chip this week. If you don't feel like it, you just want to accept this is a bad week or just take it on the chin. You're okay to have all the Liverpool attackers against Arsenal. Fair enough.
Yeah, I agree. And to your point, Siva, about wild cutting, I thought about it really heavily. Like, I looked at my team. There are maybe 6 players I would like to swap out, and to me, that's how I look at whether I should wildcard or not. Right? Like, there's a 6 is my threshold. Like, if there's only 4 players I want to take out now, I'll just stick with the team and use transfers over the next few weeks. But then I think the issue is that Palmer's injured, Saka's injured. So a lot of the premiums are injured, right? And I feel these are players that you will want back in your team. And if you've already used your wildcard, it'll be really hard to shuffle things around to bring them back in. So I've come to the conclusion that saving your wildcard for at least a few more weeks, especially because the window hasn't closed yet, and who knows what might happen, right? So probably not the best week to wildcard. So I will most likely be just getting by with transfers, maybe a hit, maybe a free hit, Siva. We'll see.
Okay. Let's talk captaincy. Okay. Because free hit's very exclusive to us and to me, maybe. But captaincy is a pretty open question this week. Because most people don't have Haaland, right? So we park Haaland. We'll come back to Haaland. So people who have the template team, which is Salah, Palmer, Bruno, that's the template. Are they captaining Bruno this week?
Yeah, I think if you have a United player, you have to, right? Like, the fixture is just too appealing. Not Sesko though. Like, I wouldn't bring in our captain Sesko. I don't know what this.
It's just assumes everyone starts. Just use your common sense. Obviously, you're not going to captain Sesko. It just assumes if he starts, then he's higher on the predicted goal scorer odds. Okay, so Bruno or any United player, you would be happy captaining Cunha.
Yeah, I would. Cunha, Mbemo, Bruno, whoever it is that you have a United attacker, that would be my top choice if I had one.
Cunha or Bruno?
Cunha. This is the week he holds. Mark my words.
Doing a lot of heavy lifting here, I must say. Cunha got a price rise today, man. That's insane. Have you heard of somebody who blanks twice and gets a price rise?
No.
Like, this is some alternate reality I'm living in.
There are a lot of delusional MU fans around the world. So trust me, as a United fan, right? Like, I'm a pessimistic United fan, and I'm in a minority because most of them are hopelessly optimistic most of the time. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. For you, I guess Captain Haaland, easy.
Yeah, it has to be Haaland, right? I'm not paying 40 million for some guy to just sit in my team and not be captained.
Okay, so no love for Chris Wood. I feel like I'm very much in the minority here because he's been the captain so far in all my drafts, and I'm a little concerned. But I felt the same way about Gyokeres last week. Like, kept like going into group chats. Hey, anyone else captaining? And I was quite lonely. So I'm a bit lonely this week as well.
I think Chris was third choice for me, right? If I had all 3 of those assets, a United attacker, Haaland, and Chris Wood, that's the order I would go.
Okay, fair enough. So, an acceptable choice, but no world, he's not your first choice. Just because what? Price, not sexy. What is it about Chris Wood? What more does he have to do to earn your trust?
Chris Wood rarely hauls. Now, rarely. I'm not saying it never happens, right? It does, but most of the time it's 1 shot, 1 goal, 9 points. Which is great. Like, it's a really high floor, but you want someone who has the capability to bring in a hat trick once in a while.
Not explosive.
Yeah.
I really, you got to make me move my captaincy to Haaland. I don't like it. But okay.
Please don't captain Haaland, Siva. Come on. Captain Bruno. Or whichever United player you want, right? Like, they're playing against Burnley. Why wouldn't you captain them? If I had a United player, I would captain them over Haaland.
I'm in this sort of paradox where I'm going to have triple United, but I'm not sure I'm prepared to captain them. It's a very weird position. I don't know. My issue with United is I don't know who's going to score the goals. That's actually my issue. It's kind of why I have Bruno, Mbeumo, and Cunha in my draft, is because I really don't know. One of them is going to haul, I think, and I don't know who it is, and so therefore I'm just nervous about captaincy.
Until we lose 1-0 to Burnley.
I mean, either way, I will be laughing. So I have no issues. I think that's it
You
for
got no
us.
love for United defenders, by the way, before we move on.
Okay, so Dogu, possible, and Delict, who has been hitting DEFCONs very secretly. I
Yeah.
thought Delict was finished, but no.
2 games in
But
a row, Defcons. 5 mil.
that it feels boring, is what it is. Like it feels really boring. Now I appreciate that it makes total sense. Like why don't you have defenders against Burnley? Burnley aren't really gonna attack, but it just feels boring, man. Like I want the spice.
Okay. Fair.
Okay,
And
Sam.
that's it from us, yeah?
That's it from the top 2 content creators in all of FPL. Join us next week. We
can
don't
I
hold on to
just say
this.
something before we close, right?
Mm.
Just a little lesson that I learned this week, which is to always trust your own gut. Because a day before the deadline, right, I texted Siva and I told him, like, I just got a gut feeling I need to take Palmer out. And he was like, no, why would you do that? Blah, blah, blah. Now, I wanted to take Palmer for Umbremo, so it would have been a blank anyway. But the point is that if you follow your gut and it goes badly, you kind of feel all right. You're like, okay, at least I followed my gut. Whereas if you do something that you're not comfortable with because of advice from other people or whatever you read on Twitter, and when it goes badly, you really, really feel like shit. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying?
I don't know why you're gaslighting me because you didn't take off Palmer weight. Okay, I'm not like an expert on Cole Palmer's groin. Okay, so I'm not sure how I was supposed to predict that. Okay, what did I tell you? I
Not
told
only
you
that, because I didn't take out Palmer, I ended up taking Njai again in the end. Who scored?
at no point did I ask you to transfer out Inaman and I. Okay, let's be very clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Now,
but my
for
point
Cole
is
Palmer,
that it's not an attack on you, Siva, personally. It's just like you could be reading on Twitter and stuff, and just don't do something that you are not comfortable with because of what you've read or because of something someone else said. Right? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, if you've been listening to us for the last 45 minutes, don't listen to us. Like, make your own decisions. Don't do it because
Yeah.
we said it. Like we're doing this because that's how we feel. Like I captain Victor Gyokeres, mentioned it a few times on this pod. I did that, purely because of me. Like I wasn't going around listening to other pods. I did, and they all just said don't do it, and I thought, that's stupid. I'm going to do it anyway. Do what you want to do, and then you own your own mistakes. Like you, Sam. I don't think I told you to sell Cole Palmer. Sure, but then I didn't predict his groin sort of issues. I did tell you that Chelsea would beat West Ham. So after that,
That's
what
true.
happens? It's in the hands of the FPL gods, my friend.
Yeah, I think just treat podcasts, advice, things you read on Twitter as information gathering, and then in the end, make your own decision based on your own gut feeling of what is the best move to make.
Yeah, and don't be surprised. You might know more than the people you're listening to. I was listening to T4 football podcast today, and the presenter starts off by saying, "I didn't see the second half of Newcastle v Liverpool," and I wanted, like, I tried to listen for another 5 minutes, and then I thought, like, no, I can't do this. Why am I listening to this? Like, I'm not gaining anything from this. Like, I'm listening to people who have read the score. No, and I turned it off. I was like, okay, I need to go and find something better to do with my time. So yeah, be careful about who you're listening to. Yeah.
And on that note, guys, get your green arrows, and we'll see you next week.